Welcome to the Washdown podcast, episode 156. And today we have returning guest, police officer Joe Guinn. And we do a little catch-up episode with him and figure out what he's been up to. Also talk about his motorcycle wreck right after he was on the last time. So had a great time making this episode. Hope you guys enjoy it. As always, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And here you go. Episode 156 of the Washdown podcast with police officer Joe Guinn.
All crews stand by for emergency traffic. All crews stand by for emergency traffic.
That's the unit with the mayday. Go ahead with your traffic.
Oh my God, I got to install a whole closet today. My kids are out of town, and we have today to finish it before we go pick them up. And I've been at work all week. So today's my first day.
Oh,
it's a fucking day of work.
Yeah. Well, I spent all day yesterday working on the garage, trying to get it in some semblance of order.
Sure.
And so putting up shelves, I put a TV up out there. Now I've got to take everything off of the one shelves and move them over to the other and get it all organized. So I spent all day doing that yesterday, except for whenever I was taking the dog to the vet. Yeah. And then today, we got family coming over on Sunday, and I'm smoking a whole rack of ribs. Well, I got to make sure my smoker still works because it ate shit during a big windstorm last year, and I haven't turned it on since then. The faucet in the kitchen's leaking. It's like, life. And I'm working tomorrow and Saturday.
So you have no time to do shit.
Yeah, it all has to be done today.
That's how ours is. Yeah. We built a whole new closet system, like a closet structure. We bought it. We have to build it. And then we are repainting. We decided to do all this shit. And then I have a day to do it. Yeah. And get the house in some kind of order to bring kids back into it just to fuck it up again.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's wonderful.
I'm with you. It's a lot.
Well, Joe, thanks for coming back on the show, man.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. I hear that you might have something to talk about.
Just a little bit. And it ties into mental health, which I'm really excited about because, last time I was in a position where this show really benefited me, coming in and just talking, and not feeling the pressure of that stigma that we all get as first responders and talking about those kind of things. So, kind of a short story for anyone that watched the last one. I was doing a little better with my mental health. I was kind of finally on an uptick, spiraled right back down, which is what mental health does to you.
Yeah.
And I always refer to mine as spirals. So, you continue down a spiral and then you try to work your way back up, but you're a tear down every time until finally you bottom out, which is where I had gotten to. And you just can't make any progress and everything is dark and down and there's just no light breaking through and you can't find a way to get yourself out of that cycle. For me, it was a lot of insecurities. I just could not get away from them. And they pretty much drowned me. And so I had gotten to a point where I was pretty close to done. And then I almost died. So it's interesting because you hear about like the bridge jumpers that live, they jump and break every bone in their body and nearly drown and somehow they live. And I can't recall his name, but there's one in particular that tells a really good story about it. When his feet left the ground and that 2 seconds before he hit the ground, all he could think about is how much he wanted to live.
You're talking about the guy that jumped off the Golden Gate.
Yes. Yeah. And
his story's on. I saw a TikTok about his story.
Yes.
And it was like, I want to hear the rest of it now.
So there's like a whole book. Okay. And I don't remember his name. I can't recall the book, but
I got this phone. I'm going to find it. I got this. Hang on.
He talks about, and it actually is part of our CIT training in the academy. We get to read a short excerpt on his story. And he talks about being done. He was done with life. He absolutely had nothing to live for. He jumped.
Is it Kevin Hines?
That might be it.
Yeah. That's him.
But the minute his feet left the ground, he recalls just wanting to live. So fortunately, I guess, I didn't have that circumstance happen. But my wife and I was in a motorcycle accident February 2nd of last year. And I've come to call it the blessing in disguise. I'm still recovering from that accident. I have probably a long way to go, but I've also made a hell of a lot of progress. When it comes to mental health, my clarity is incredible now because much like, was it Hines you said? Kevin Hines?
Yeah, Kevin Hines.
Much like him, I didn't jump, but the accident nearly killed me. I severed my C1 from my brainstem, which I've come to learn is an internal decapitation. It's like getting your head cut off. It should kill you. I broke that, and then I broke everything from my C1 down to my T2, with the exception of my C4, which I think is funny. Because the explosive just held together. Like,
So it needs an electrical charge to explode.
Yeah. Maybe that was it. Yeah. I was like, how did that one? It's good. My C7 was a burst fracture, so it pierced my vocal cords and various other parts of the internal workings of your neck, my airway, all of those things. Broke some ribs, punctured a lung, broke my left collarbone in 2 places. And then oddly, I don't like to wear helmets when I ride. I've been on the job. I've been to the accidents. I get it. I see what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
It's a feeling, right? It's different when you're riding without a helmet.
Yeah.
That day, I stood the bike up in the garage. My helmet sit on a shelf right next to the bike, so I have no reason to not wear a helmet. I just don't like them. But it was February. It was cold, and I didn't want cold wind hitting my poor little eyes. So I stood the bike up. I wasn't going to wear a helmet, had my riding gloves on just because it's more comfortable that way. And I felt a bit of a breeze come in the garage, and didn't think anything of it at the time other than, I don't want to be cold. So I put a helmet on. And when I wear a helmet, I wear a full face. So if I'm going to put a helmet on, I might as well put a helmet on. Not even 10 minutes later, I was in the accident. And that helmet is the only thing that stood between me and death. I'm fully convinced. I didn't have torn up clothing. My gloves didn't get scuffed. My helmet, on the other hand, the face mask shattered. So I still have no idea where the shield is. The most impressive part about it, I should have brought the helmet, but the most impressive part about it is the interior side of it, where it's not supposed to crack at all. It's super durable, is broken all the way down. So I know my head took the brunt of the impact. Thankfully, I'm thick-headed. But yeah, so I broke all those things. I remember everything leading up to the accident. I don't remember the accident itself. And then I remember waking up after I also broke my orbital, fractured my orbital, all to hell. I remember waking up from that surgery, which I think was my second surgery. And barely, everything's hazy and foggy. But then about a week later, so we're looking at 2.5 weeks in, to my hospital stay, is when I think I finally could grasp the fact that I had been in an accident and could remember it for more than a day. Mm-hmm. And I remember kind of laying there. I had a lot of alone time, right? My wife still had our 3 kids to tend to and take care of. She was at the hospital all the time. She was absolutely incredible through that process. And I didn't deserve it at the time. So the strength that had to have taken her to just stand by me and to be there for me, man, it changed my dynamic. But I remember laying there, and for a few days, realizing just how severe the accident was. I mean, I was in a neck brace. I was paralyzed on my left side. I couldn't move anything below my shoulder. I remember laying there and thinking, why me? Why am I allowed to live through this? This was my ticket, right? This could have been it, and I was I felt guilty about being alive and thinking it was a wasted opportunity on me because I didn't really care to be there anyway. And then one night I was kind of laying there and I thought, I'm still a husband and I'm still a father and I'm breathing. And it just, some kind of clarity hit me. And I thought, what a waste of time. I have made all of these years, all my life, really, wasting time on insecurities that kind of, we talked about my childhood trauma last time. And I dwelled in that for so long. And I've got kids that I could be investing my time and resources in and making their lives better. I've got obviously an amazing woman who I could be making happier. And in turn, that should just be enough. And understanding that is it. That's the whole ticket. That's why I'm here. And then my recovery has been lengthy, but good. But what it did for my mental clarity is unparalleled. Even if I don't make a full recovery, the fact that I live happily and more clear now without that kind of overcast is incredible to me. And I still don't know that I understand it fully.
It's cognitive recalibration.
Yes.
You got hit real hard on the head.
I did. Yeah. It knocked my screws into place, I guess.
Well, people tell stories like that of, getting into that place.
Mm-hmm.
And it is sometimes it allows you to see the things that are really what's important to you at the base level, really deep down. What is important, what matters to me, and it allows you to focus on that stuff and take everything else, all the bullshit, and throw it away and just treat it because it is what it is. It's being a police officer is a job, riding motorcycles, that's just a hobby or, whatever. But what's important is, the family, the kids, who you are.
Exactly.
So,
and that's kind of, I think, what cleared up was, and I've been asked what happens if you don't make a full recovery and you can't go back to being an officer. And I just watched, was it episode 150, I think. I just watched the other day with John.
Yeah.
John Howe, if I say
John
his name
Howe.
right.
Yeah.
And he said, you don't realize that you get lost in that identity. It becomes what you are.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like I talked about last time, that's kind of what I did was I hid behind that identity.
Yeah.
And I thought, he also said another thing that really resonated, which I think he said, I'm not a good man, but I have a good heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, wow, that's powerful. And it speaks to where I had lived for so long. Because I constantly told myself I wasn't a good person, but at least I helped people. And so the helping people is what I think kept me alive for a long time. And you do get lost in that. But the clarity, when I got my screws knocked into place, was really my purpose in life is to be a husband and a father, though those are my two main priorities in this life. And I had put them second to my own trauma for a long time. And now they're first in everything I do. And it's awesome.
Well, it's such a common thing, especially in these career fields, being a firefighter, being a cop, being a paramedic, whatever, being in the military. We all kind of make that our identity, because what are we without that?
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's something, it's so common, and I wish there was a way for us to just go, hey, knock it off. You got a whole other life. Like, yeah, okay, you spend 12 hours a day for, 4 days a week being, a cop. Cool. But how much other time is there? What are you doing with that other time?
But you make the excuses that there is no time. Right?
No.
All there is work.
Yeah.
I think you get lost in excuses. You really do. And you get a little blinded by it. And I think a lot of that is the career. You do absolutely get addicted to the adrenaline of the job. Those peaks, those highs are unparalleled, and what you have to realize, or what I have come to realize, is I get that same feeling from time with my family. It's just different. It registers differently. But it's become my whole identity now is a husband and a father. But I still hope I make it back to full duty, because I do still miss
and that
being
is
a cop,
yeah.
Being a police officer. That is part of my identity. I've just come to understand that's not all it is.
Yeah. Well, and that's your vocation. That's what you want to do. That's your career.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's absolutely not one thing wrong with that, because I know I feel the same way. If I was forced to medically retire from being a firefighter tomorrow, I'd be like, oh, fuck, I miss it. Because I do. I enjoy doing that job.
Mm-hmm.
But I also enjoy spending time with my wife and, my dogs and hanging out with the family and doing all that stuff. And it's more important. But, being a firefighter pays the bills.
Yeah. So does being a police officer. I've been fortunate. The department I'm with has been good to me through the process. They allowed me to test into the violent crimes division. I moved over to homicide, missing persons now. So, I'm still in the career. It's just not that field rush that you get of being out there in the forefront. I'm kind of tucked away in an office right now, but still being involved in that is absolutely beneficial, because it is a passion of mine. It is what I hope to do, But if that, even if that goes away, I still have the important two factors in my life, which is I'm a husband and I'm a father.
Yeah.
And that's, like I said, it's really just become my forefront. The accident was a downfall in so many ways. I still have left hand paralysis, which is why I'm not back on full duty, but I've got a surgery coming up. I think this one's a muscle transfer. So they're actually taking, I'm going to mess this up. He called it the gracilis muscle out of my inner thigh. And I'll get there in a minute.
Okay.
And putting that over near my bicep to further activate the nerves that they took out of my legs and attached to the nerves over my ribs and ran down my arm. You'd have to see pictures of the scars to understand the surgery.
Kind of sounds like you should have gotten the cadaver nerve endings.
I don't know why they didn't do that.
I don't know if they could do that with nerves, to be honest, man. I don't know.
What they can do blows my mind. So it's like an electrical panel. They can literally just take wires from here and put them there and you're good. Or better, I guess, at least.
It's insane what modern medicine can do.
So my doctor's telling me about these surgeries, and it's always been a 3-step process to get, back to being fully functioning. And he's got a good sense of humor. And he says, so we're going to take the muscle from your groin and we're going to put it in your arm. So pretty girl's going to walk in the room and you might just stand there with your hand in the air. And I was like, hey, what? Come on, man.
You know what you got to do now? If that happens, you got to get dibs tattooed on your arm. That way everybody knows, hey, I got dibs.
Oh, I was like, then it's like, are you serious? Like, can that happen? Because I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
I don't want my thoughts becoming out there. Can you imagine that on the job?
Oh, no.
That'd be terrible.
Yeah. Inner thoughts need to stay inner thoughts.
Man, he'd be the permanent driver, though.
Yeah. Keep that guy out of the field.
Yeah.
So that was kind of his joke about it. But yeah, I've had, I have 3 fusions in my neck. I showed you the x-ray earlier. I've got an artificial C7. It's like a titanium rod. And I can't even count the amount of screws and other little things that they put in there.
You got to bring the x-rays next time.
I have them. I'll show you.
I want to see.
I have them. I'll show you. And then I have pictures of all the scars because those are gnarly.
This road, man. We're a bunch of dudes.
It's not like this is going to be on the internet forever.
Not like we've never seen it before.
We're trying to get canceled on YouTube for something else now.
Yeah, you don't want to see that. I promise. Not a pretty sight. No. Maybe we can incorporate the pictures or something. I don't know.
If you send them to me, I can put them in the.
They're interesting, man. It's been crazy. So I have a scar. They took 2 nerve stems out of my leg, and so the scar goes from like the ball of the ankle all the way up to the back of my knee, like wraps around the back of my leg all the way up to the back of my knee. They took 2 stems there. And then they opened me up from under my rib cage on my left side, straight through my armpit, and about 3 inches from my elbow. That's one straight incision. And they had it like filleted open.
That is
and
awesome.
They just wired the nerves in.
So they call an electrician to do that?
So they have, like the voltage meters for like electrical panels.
You're bullshitting.
They have them for your nerves.
Yeah.
Another crazy thing. Did you know your nerves actually have a sound system? No. There's a way your nerves are supposed to sound.
Okay.
I'm no medical professional, but this shit's
all
cool.
ears.
I've got video of that too, where they're like, see the way that sounds? And I'm like, what?
So they got like what's Jeremy, you're a musician. What's that little thing that looks like a U with a
tuning fork?
Yeah, the tuning fork. They got one of those for it.
Yeah.
Yes, it's literally like a voltage meter.
They hit the nerve and then they hit the tuning fork.
It's insane that they do that, but it literally is like an electrical panel. But yeah, they even have a voltage meter. Well, I don't know what it's called, but a voltage meter for your nerves.
That's awesome. My question is, who is the smart ass that figured that out?
So I think
it's trial and error right there, man.
Yeah. So what I've come to learn with the nerves is it is a lot of genuine trial and error. They're still trying to figure out exactly what it takes to make it work.
You just need to go to Comertage.
So what's crazy is, because they've moved nerves around, I have no feeling in the outside of my left leg. Like it all. Have you seen, is it Mr. Deeds when the dude has the foot that he can't feel?
Yeah, with Adam Sandler. Oh, yeah.
I have that foot.
Is it black?
No, it's not. No. And then over my ribs on my left side, I have zero feeling. So,
I mean, at least you're not ticklish there anymore.
Exactly. Like nothing at all. So that's become weird. So you have two nervous systems. You have sensory and you have, what is it? Like motor nerves. That's it. And so they took my sensory nerves out of my leg and turned them into motor nerves to get my arm to work again.
That is insane.
Man, he's going to be hell in a fight when he goes back to full duty.
I'm RoboCop. I was joking about it earlier. I'm half made of metal. It's awesome.
You make the sound effects when you walk, don't you?
Yeah.
He goes to the range.
Holy shit.
Oh my God. They were going to hell for this one?
He's participating and bringing most of it up, so I think we'll be okay. Maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
fine.
If you're offended by the conversation we're having, then go fuck yourself. Okay.
Very hard to offend me.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that, talking about nerves and all that stuff, whenever I had knee surgery, whenever I was 15, like for, I would say almost 10 years, like I could not feel anything on the top of my knee because they cut the nerves whenever they went in there to put a screw in. And I could like rip out hair, like whatever, and no feeling at all. And then one day, like 10 years later, I bumped my knee and I'm like, oh, I can feel things. This is weird. When did that happen?
My funny bone on my left elbow, not there. So I hit it all the time, and I'm just
man,
like,
you lucky bastard.
Yeah, I'm like, that would really suck if I could feel it. But you almost like you have like sympathy pain. Like you're like, oh, that should have hurt, maybe. So you like fake the pain.
Yeah,
even though it's not really there. Which is good. Yes, I guess some of the places I've lost feeling, it's a good thing. Nerves are nuts, man. Did you ever have nerve pain?
No, I don't think I've ever had
So
that.
it is second to nothing I've ever felt in my life. It's like being on fire and being struck by lightning.
Yeah.
It's
I've heard
absolutely
it's
terrible.
horrible.
Yeah, and you can't get ahead of it.
You can't. There's just nothing. You just kind of tolerate it. There's medicines. And they always ask me, they're like, hey, are these medicines working for you? I'm like, well, I'd be terrified to know what it feels like without them because it hurts now.
Yeah.
So
do they have you on like gabapentin and stuff like that?
What do I take? Pregabalin is one. I had gabapentin, but they switched me over to pregabalin, I think. And the other one is meloxicam. I don't know what the fancier terms for them are. Those are the ones that I pick up from the pharmacy.
Okay.
But I know before surgery, I have to stop the meloxicam, and it makes a huge difference. I mean, the pain just goes way up. But just like anything else in life, you kind of get used to it.
Yeah.
Almost. So it's just what it is now. It's no different than like your knee, I'm sure, hurts from time to time just because you had surgery way back when, right?
Yeah.
But now you're just kind of used to it. You just function because it's what you're used to.
Yeah. I've had 2 surgeries on that knee. And it is what it is. And the second surgery was because of the first surgery. So
that sucks.
Yeah. Well, that was, when did I have that? Probably, I think I was 35. So almost 10 years ago. Like my knee just locked up in place. Like it wouldn't move. I was like, okay, this isn't normal.
Right.
So then I hobbled around on it for another couple of weeks before I was like, okay, I need to get this. Yeah, I need to get this checked out. So went in, and the surgeon that I had was really good, because there's a screw in there. MRIs are pretty much worthless because it obscures most of the knee because of it fucks with the MRI thing. So he goes in, checks it all out. Well, whenever they did the first surgery, I don't know if if my knee was actually misaligned or something wasn't quite right with the first surgery. So it caused my kneecap to rub in the wrong way, which in turn caused osteoarthritis.
Oh.
So what was happening was all that cartilage was flaking off the underside of my kneecap, and it basically was just jamming my knee up until my body would dissolve it. So he went in, shaved it all down, and he's like, okay, well, this is what it is, and you need a knee replacement, basically.
Oh.
He goes, you're going to need it within the next 10 years. And I was like, okay.
I'll see you in 10 years.
I'll see you when I retire, because I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But, because like, I don't know if they've made improvements. I'm sure they have, but
Sure.
most of those joint replacements are only good for about 20 years.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
like,
still 20 years.
yeah. So there's no
He's
point.
like, no, I know.
Yeah. There's no point in me getting it done now, especially whenever I still have full function. I can still do everything. I just have to deal with a little bit of pain.
Right.
So, which again, nothing new. I've broken a lot of bones.
Yep.
And it just is what it is.
So just deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still terrible. I have a friend, just over 40, had to have both hips replaced. And that, like, uh-oh.
I got that friend too.
I still have both my real hips. Fuck off.
Well, I think he had his shaved down, actually, like
That's-
resized or
Yeah,
whatever.
so they get
Yeah.
it resurfaced. So my femoral head was not rounded, the front
Yep.
side of it. So they had to shave that down, but that caused issues with the hips themselves and the joints, which also cut up the labrums and the cartilage. And he wants to replace my left one now. And it is, he said 20 years at max. And I was like, dude, I'm 40. I'm going to be 42 here in July.
So then you'd have to do it again.
So at 62, that's if there's something for them to attach it to still.
Right.
So you're gambling, and we know with the jobs that we have, you're not making fucking 20 years with that hip. So it's a guarantee that you're going to have it done again. So why not just tough it out
Yep.
as best you can? Because I mean, there's days I have great days where I have zero pain. I'm very flexible and movable. There's other days where I want to curl up in a ball and cry
Sure.
because it just fucking hurts. And you try and limit your impact. And, I'm trying to take the weight off, but I like food.
Me too.
So that's hard. And I don't want to work out because it fucking sucks. I did it for so long when I was younger. I got so burned out. I was like,
Dude,
but I've gotten back into it where it helps, but you still have those issues.
yeah. Well, and here's the thing with working out, that especially if you did it a lot whenever you were younger,
Mhm.
and then you start doing it again and you're not seeing those results quite as fast, it's real easy to get discouraged. But on the flip side of that is, what else you going to do? I mean,
eat pudding and be happy.
well, yeah, but you, so
Can't
I was
have any
thinking,
pudding if you don't
Dude,
eat your meat.
That's right.
I
I eat my damn steak, then I eat my chocolate pudding, and I go to bed, and I'm fucking happy.
volume. Anyway, I was thinking about this the other day. So think about, and I'm sure you ran these calls too whenever you were on the street, but think about the amount of people that we run every day that their weight is a direct relation to why they are calling us, because they have so many health issues because of it. Like, why as first responders do we allow ourselves to get to that point? Because we know what the outcome is going to be.
Because it's our turn in the barrel.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say, because I put my time in and because now I can be the one calling and fucking with the new guys.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a miserable life, man.
That's hysterical. I'm going to deviate for a minute. I've always said that when my time as an officer comes to an end, I am going to fuck with them as hard as I can because I know all the triggers.
Yeah.
Like, I know exactly how to get under your skin, and I'm going to use that to the fullest extent
I
possible.
think we all do at this point. It's just hold a camera while they're doing their job.
Yeah. You know what? You become numb to those.
Yeah.
I just assume we're always getting recorded anyway.
Well, I mean, I on the street, I have my own camera, so it's always on. Every interaction.
I'm not even talking about it with you guys. It's when we run a call with you guys. I know we're being recorded, but I just assume that even when we're not with the police, people are watching every move we make and recording us. And everything. Everyone's looking for an easy payout right now. That's kind of how in my mind. That way I know to watch.
Well, and there's all these social media groups now that have so many people that feed into the web page or whatever, the social media page. There's like, what is it? Casey Discover, I think, is one. There's Casey Street. There's all these groups, and they send the video to one person who posts.
Mm-hmm. And it's always edited, and it's never accurate.
No. And then that's the downfall, is that they get to show whatever they want, which is why I love having a body camera as an officer, because it fills in the gaps that you don't see when they try to make the complaint.
I'll be honest, I've loved having the body cam footage from the cops, because you don't actually always know what really happened, because you see an edited version, but you've also seen edited versions from police departments too.
Sure.
Because there's a whole lot of gaps in there, but we're actually getting a better picture and it's catching the bad officers that none of us want.
Yep.
But it's also highlighting all these good officers. You're like, hey, motherfuckers, it's not as bad as what.
Yeah, but they don't really show that footage. So the good interactions are not the ones that you're ever going to see.
Yeah.
You know, you're always going to get that edited clip, whether it's by the department or, you know, Citizen Joe, who decided to capture it on their camera and put what they wanted to, you know, out there for the public to see. And then you're going to get the keyboard warriors that go to town on it.
Oh, all the experts.
They know everything because they saw the video.
I get like, and the only social media platform, like, I mean, obviously we post to YouTube and all that stuff, but like, other than watching off-road videos, I'm not really on, or, you know, the occasional podcast or whatever, but I don't pay any attention to the comments on YouTube. But we post stuff on Instagram for the podcast, you know, sporadically. I should be better about it. I'm not. That just is what it is.
What it is.
But so like whenever I'm scrolling through Instagram and, you know, like firefighter workouts or, you know, all that stuff comes up and clicking on the fucking comments, it's just like, holy shit.
You can't buy into the comments.
You can't read the comments because I've yet to see a video where the comments were actually helpful or constructive. It was so like,
everybody's an expert and they're going to tell you everything you did wrong and how you should have done it, but that might not work for you or that situation.
Dude, perfect example. I came across one last night. It was from a news station down in, I think, Houston. I think it was a 8-year-old and a 12-year-old boys. The video shows them riding up on their bike. They get off their bikes. They walk up this driveway and fucking stab this woman in her garage, run back and take off. Read the comments on that fucking video. Yeah.
I can't because it's so hard to bite.
Yeah.
Well, my finger, I guess, not my tongue necessarily, but
it turned into a race thing immediately. It's like, I don't care what race they are. They're 8 and 12. Like, how is that?
Yeah, but it's not just the comment section that does that. I think media in general will always try to sway things into an argument.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's, you know, race baiting or whether it's false information. It's not just the comment section. It's the header on the article.
Yeah.
And that's the most frustrating part about the job. And I'm sure you guys see it. You know, you run a call and it's one that sits with you as an individual. And then you see the news story come out and it's wrong. It's completely inaccurate, but you can't say anything about it. But then you read the comments on it and it spins it into,
I tell you what, I saw so one the other day that I ran and I was actually impressed because the article was accurate.
It happens, but not often.
I was like, this is the first time in 20 years. I was like, holy shit, they got it right. Now, but my question was, how did you get it so right? Who leaked this shit?
Yeah. Who gave you that information?
Because that made me madder than anything was somebody's leaking shit.
Isn't that bad?
Early on.
Now it's right, and you're mad about it. There's no pleasing you.
I'm a cynic, man.
Constantly pissed off.
But that's what draws the views, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you can piss people off and get them angry, then they get involved, or not involved, but at least, you know, they're paying attention to it.
Right.
And that keeps them engaged with it. And
it's the excuses too, when you read these articles and then people have 100 excuses of why this happened and defending the person who committed an atrocious act.
Sure.
It's like, no, you know what? I understand that we have mental health issues and I'm all for fixing them, but that's not an excuse not to get punished.
Right.
You still have to, there's still a punishment for what you've done and the actions that you've taken.
I really struggle with that. And I think last time we talked about the lack of mental health resources and it's obviously still there. But I have that problem, right? You see these homicides that occur, let's say, and it's, well, they weren't of sound mind when it happened. That's not really who they are. So we're just going to give them 2 years in a mental health facility. And as long as they complete that, they're fine. They're not, though. No. There still needs to be a punishment for the act that was committed.
Yeah. Now, I want them to get help. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
I'm not saying don't help people. I want them to get the help they need, but you still need to be held accountable for your actions.
Yeah.
You know, we hear it all the time with nurses. Nurses getting attacked and like, oh, well, he was having a mental health crisis or he was on drugs.
You signed up for that.
You know, fuck off. I'm not a punching bag.
Yeah.
Sorry. Just because I'm a public servant, I choose to be and I want to be, and that's what I love doing.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean you get to say whatever you want to me or put your hands on me. Period. I don't care what you have going on. We'll help you. We'll help you fix it, but you're going to be held accountable for your actions. Period. And we have prosecutors that don't want to do that shit.
Yeah, that narrative absolutely pisses me off. I can't stand it.
Yeah. Well, and it's such a switch in our culture because we used to hold people accountable and we used to hold ourselves accountable for stuff. And that's how we became the country that we became.
Sure.
But then somewhere along the way, we've just kind of been like
hippies.
Everybody gets a pass.
Yeah.
It's like, no, everybody doesn't get a trophy. Like there are winners and losers. That's reality.
Not anymore. You got me last time. It's 2024. You can't say those things. That's not how it works. Everybody gets the participation trophy and they're all first place.
Yeah.
I think it was the hippies from the 70s and the 60s with Vietnam.
What's the cycle?
That's when we changed.
Hard times create strong men create, weak children. Weak children create hard times, and it's just a cycle.
Yeah.
It just spins.
It is.
And it's true. I think if you look over the course of time,
hang on, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna look up. There we go. Tough times.
Here it is.
Okay. Now you can see me read it. Stupid cameras. Tough times create strong men. Strong men create easy times. Easy times create weak men.
Yep.
Weak men create tough times. You have to raise warriors, not parasites. I haven't heard that ending. I didn't either. It's fair because there's a bunch of different ones, but that one just had it on there, and it would. Hang on. I'm not
doing the research.
I'm not gonna attempt that name. I will butcher it, and then people come for me. But I mean, some of them, the rest of them don't have that last one. But honestly,
it's
honestly, I kind of like the last line added to it. I like it a little better.
Well, it's true, and like.
Oop.
Sorry. Good one.
Threw my phone down.
But so and Jordan Peterson gets a lot of flack for
Love Jordan Peterson.
Dude, he gets a lot of flack taking on the whole toxic masculinity thing.
Bricklayers, babe.
Yeah, it's like men are expected to be men. Like you have to be capable of great violence because there are people that will commit great violence, and the only way to stop them is with that. You can't, like what they talk about with the police department. Well, you got to de-escalate. So you can't de-escalate everybody.
Sure.
You just can't.
Right.
And sometimes violence is necessary to be able to protect people who aren't capable of it. And if we are, let's say, have a majority of people who are not capable of protecting themselves, then you get what we have now.
And we could go on the online quotes forever or whatever, but there's the one that says, oh no, I just lost my whole train of thought.
Online quote.
Yeah.
Great violence.
I can't remember.
Masculinity.
Yeah. So, if only people knew the amount of violence it took to be this gentle. It's so true.
Mm-hmm.
You look at, I'll reflect it on myself for a minute. I grew up in extreme violence and I'm not that person. And I think that it takes a true understanding of exactly what lengths you may have to go to in life to keep things peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
War is not great. Nobody likes it, but unfortunately it's necessary. And you have to be capable of that violence.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would love to de-escalate every call. I would love to be the master manipulator that could walk into any situation and just everything's great. But it's not true. It's not the reality. And some of that's mental health and some of that's just evil. Bad people, they exist.
Yeah,
where there's just not good in them, and people don't want to.
They don't want to. Well, no, nobody wants to admit that.
Everybody has great in them. I would love that to be true, but I just don't. I don't think it is.
It's not.
And I've seen. We've all everybody in this room has seen that it's not true.
Yeah.
That's the unfortunate and downside of our job is we have to deal with evil people. True evil people.
Well, and I think the disconnect, and we talked about this before, like knowledge gap, right?
Mm-hmm.
The people that will sit there and say that you can de-escalate everything, or there's not really evil people out there. It's because they haven't seen it. It doesn't touch their every day-to-day life, right? people in our career fields, we see that. And we see it on a daily basis a lot of times.
Well, it goes back to a few good men, right? You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
1,000%.
He was 100. Was the code red right? No. But was he 100% correct in everything he said?
Yes.
Yes. Because there's things that we have to do to get things done to protect everybody else. You just don't want to know about it. And then when you find out about it, you want to get offended.
So it's interesting you say like that. My wife talks about, and I know last time I talked about keeping my wife north of the river forever.
Yeah.
Well, no, there's things I need to do. No, you don't. You don't need to do anything downtown.
Nope.
It's because we see those things, right? And so it's hard to get past that. It's hard to get past, well, I'm going to go to bar X. Like, okay, I've had 4 stabbings there. I had a shooting there a couple weeks ago. Can you please go somewhere else? Okay, well, we'll go to, bar Z.
Yeah.
Can you maybe not do that either?
Yeah.
We got a call from my son on St. Patty's Day. He was down in our bar area because he'd never been down there. They're 21, 22 years old, and they want to experience it. And I'm all for it. I think you should. But now I'm like, he couldn't get an Uber to get home, and the guy was kind of jacking him around a little bit. I'm like, no, we'll come get you.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. And it's just like, okay, now you've been down here.
Well, and I think
that's something you want to do again. Cause I used to work in that area. So I'm like, I've ran shootings here, stabbings there, assaults here, it just stack. And I was like, I don't go down there.
Yeah. And we talked about it last time, when I go downtown, it's hard when you talk about your identity being a police officer, right? I can absolutely go do things with my family and have a wonderful time. Comic-Con was recently, we went to Comic-Con. That's amazing. It's a cool time. The kids are all interested in all the whatever, because they have everything there. And
why didn't we have a booth, Jeremy?
It's great. But
we're both dorks.
I didn't even know that Comic-Con was going to be in town until one of the firefighters.
Anniversary year.
Yeah, well, I learned about that, but I was working overtime. So, but if I had known, then I may have tried to go this year.
It's pretty cool. It's a good, so just like you were talking about, right? It's the experience. It's a great experience. It's a lot of fun. There's all kinds of stuff there. Of course, if you're into it, there's all the actors and whatever, but there's comics, there's artwork, there's people watching at its finest. Especially in 2024.
Yeah.
Won't get into that, but it's fascinating.
Did you play, is it a costume or not game?
Yeah, exactly. Like that. I'm pretty sure that's their real life. Like that's their everyday identity. Isn't that sad? You have to, you kind of do have to question that sometimes. And so you don't want to say, you can't even say like, nice costume. Yeah. That could be offensive. Like, what costume? Like, oh shit. Great outfit. That's a wonderful outfit you're wearing today.
You did a good job putting it together.
Oh my God. But even, going down there, I attended a training recently that brought an interesting point up to me, and I carry everywhere I go. It's just been a mentality of mine. And I understand that there can be too many guns in a fight. I believe that. I think that it can be detrimental, but I heard a story in a training recently where the trainer said it was actually his supervisor that told him he and his daughter were at McDonald's one morning. They had breakfast, like 10 a.m., something like that. They leave the McDonald's. An hour later, somebody goes into that same McDonald's and kills everybody inside.
Damn.
And so he said, what if my daughter and I were in there and I chose not to carry my gun that day? We both would have died. As an officer, I have the privilege of being able to carry everywhere I go. And if they don't want me in their establishment with it, then I won't go in. But I have, the authority, if you will, to carry my firearm. So why would you not do that? Again, you kind of get lost in the identity of you have the capability to save lives at any given moment, anywhere you go. So why not do it? So Comic-Con, right? It's a fun time. There's people everywhere. Could be a good setting for a mass shooting. I mean, you and I hate to think of things like that, but look at the Chiefs parade.
Yeah. I mean, that's
who went down there that day thinking that was a possibility. We did. Because we know anytime you have a large gathering of people, there's potential for disaster.
Yeah. It's that planning that we all do.
Yes.
It's not just a mass shooting. It's any type of terrorist attack. Yeah. Boston Marathon. Who would have thought they were going to use pressure cookers as bombs?
Yep.
But you got to prepare for it. And that's where our minds go, because that's what we deal with all the time. And why I don't like large crowds anymore. I don't want to go to. My wife wants to go to Disney. I'm like, fuck Disney. I don't want to go down there and do all the people. I think
we're gonna go, but it is one of those things where it's
just a little heads up. Disney has now instituted a program that you have to pay to throw trash away.
Yes, I saw that.
What?
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
It's like per trash can, I think. What I read.
Yeah, it's like $1.
You got like put quarters in and slide it in to put something in.
No, it's on your little wrist thingy.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And it only stays open for so long. So like a couple seconds, 10, 20 seconds.
So what if I just leave my trash on the ground?
They fine you like $100 or something.
Yeah.
So you get fined if you don't do it and you got to pay to do it?
Yeah.
Just remember, so I know you've worked off duty.
Honey, we may not go to Disney.
Yeah.
I know you worked off duty at certain events where everything's on camera, right? You've seen the cameras. Disney is 100 times more than that. There is every inch of that park is on camera. You can't sniff, or blow your nose without them knowing exactly how many boogers was in that tissue.
His are discolored.
You get a prescription in your room. That's
insane.
But it's to discourage you from throwing stuff away and being greener, essentially. Conscious of your climate.
I think what's going to happen though is what they're going to find is their concessions are going to take a huge hit.
Absolutely. Well, paying to throw your trash away is being fined for doing the right thing.
Yeah.
It's really what it is.
Why don't you give me the option to recycle?
I did not hear. I got to look that up now.
It's brand new. I just saw it the other day.
Yeah. Within the last week, I think it was on the news.
It's silly, but things like that would prevent me from going somewhere.
Yeah.
Or if you go, they have a concession pass. Well, why would I pay for that if I have to turn around and pay?
Yeah.
To throw whatever I get away.
How much are the concessions?
They're a lot.
Stadium prices, baby. Stadium prices.
It's more than stadium prices because you're hooked. When you're in there, that's it.
Well, you have to, because Disney's one of those all day things, so you can't really not get something.
Yeah, it's expensive to get in the park anyway,
kids or whatever.
Yeah. And I'm sure they don't let you bring your own stuff in.
No, not anymore.
No,
like probably the clear backpacks like everywhere else, and they
small clear backpacks.
And they look to see what you have.
I think let you bring in your own water. Some places will do you can have a 12-ounce bottle of sealed water.
I'm thinking the only things you could probably bring in food-wise would be for babies and little kids.
Or if you have medical conditions, I'm sure there's some kind of exception for diabetes or whatever. But that's crazy.
But you probably have to prove it.
Well, yeah, of course.
And that is what it is. But
really, that's kind of discriminatory, making you prove your medical condition.
Can't do that.
It's 24.
So can I go in there and say that I identify as a diabetic?
Don't get me started.
Bring my food in.
I identify as needing this snack later, or you're not going to like me.
You don't want to see me when I get hangry.
That's ridiculous.
I think we just got banned on YouTube for that.
We might have. How dare you down Disney?
Disney and they identify as.
The word has been copywritten. You shouldn't have said that. It's going to get muted.
They fucking ruined Marvel anyway. I don't care.
Yeah, that's fair.
And Star Wars.
Yeah, they killed Star Wars.
Destroyed Star Wars.
People are trying to hold on to it and keep it going, but it's just not it's not the same.
No, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, maybe
God damn it, George Lucas.
Yeah.
Sell out.
They gave him $1 billion.
They did.
Sure, I probably would have sold it too.
Man, he probably would have made $10 billion if he would have made the movies.
I don't understand why he never made a sequel to it. Like, especially once they started, did he do the most recent or the new Indiana Jones, or was that part of the package that he sold to Disney and Disney redid it?
I'm guessing that's part of the package.
I'm pretty sure it's part of the package. Dude.
I never looked, but I didn't watch it, but everything I read was
I wonder why he never, 20 years later or whatever, didn't do because there was obviously a market for it.
There will always be a market for it, but done right.
Yeah.
There's an extreme market for it. And if it's got Lucas's name on it, I think it would be a lot better. But now it's just Lucasfilms, which is branded by Disney.
Yeah.
And it's
trying to capitalize off his name, and people are not stupid. And they're like, dude,
but it's
Disney just keeps tanking and tanking everything you see. I think they try and do. And it goes back to the saying, go woke, go broke.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of truth to it. Because those people that are going to watch those movies that grew up on those movies don't care about your politics. They watch the movies and the TV shows to escape for a few hours.
Yes.
And escape reality. And I have to deal with the bullshit that we deal with on a daily fucking basis and are bombarded with all day long. And you're taking my escape from me. Fuck you.
Yeah.
We got him on a soapbox.
Get down from the ledge, sir.
Get him, Chris.
We had a conversation about this the other day, and it's not just Disney, but why don't they ever remake shitty movies? You ever notice that? They always remake the movies that you loved.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, oh, let's remake Roadhouse. That movie fucking sucks. I'm sorry. We watched it. All the fights are CGI. It's awful.
Yeah.
It is just terrible. And you're like, remake a shitty movie that had a good plot.
See, and I watched it the other day, and
Right?
Yeah, I'll give you that. I mean, like one of the Rock's first ones, Doom. Loved the game. Played the shit out of it as a kid. Remake that one. It was an awful fucking movie.
Make it a good movie. Why don't you remake shitty movies? Stop remaking all these classics and cult films that people love.
And you can put The Rock back in it because he's gotten a lot better at acting over the last 20 years.
He's doing, you know who's really good? John Cena. Have you seen the Nicky movie?
Yes, that was fucking hilarious.
Dude.
My wife, I made my wife watch it.
Loved him in Peacemaker, though.
Yeah. So the Nicky movie.
This Nicky is.
I was 10 minutes in, and then that's when we had to go pick up my son from St.
No
Patty's
kids
Day.
in the room when you watched Nicky.
So, yeah, my son watched it, him and his girlfriend, and I was like, hey, I was watching the movie when you guys called, no big deal. And it's like, oh, it was that new John Cena movie. He's like, oh, and of course he's talking about it. And my wife's like, I kind of want to see it. I'm like, no, it's the dumb guy toilet humor, and that you get mad at, like grandma's boy. She hates it. I watch it all the time.
Sure.
And that's the kind of humor it is, and she fucking loved it.
Really?
Yeah, we watched the whole thing. I was laughing my ass off. She's laughing.
Dude, I couldn't stop. I laughed the whole movie, but I want to see all the outtakes of the theater show he does.
Oh, I do too.
And then, so I can't get out of my head. So I was in Home Depot. I told you we're doing like a closet where we're redoing the house and painting. And the ooh, baby, I love it came on. And I'm like, ooh, I masturbate. I'm like, shit. You watch it, and all of a sudden, all of these songs that play often are going to be repurposed in your head. It's great.
And then he was in that one with Allison Brie not too long ago, where he's like her protector. And
where he's the contractor,
freelance. Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
That was really good. We actually bought it, but I got a crush on Allison Brie too.
So that's why you bought it?
Yeah. From Community. I loved her in Community. My wife knows it. It's not a secret. She's in my top 5.
So probably my screw's getting knocked loose. I'm kind of all over the place, but I wanted to go back to when you were talking about to completely change something. Your kid going downtown for the first time, right? To like the entertainment.
Oh, no, I mean, he goes down, like he does HVAC and deliver stuff. So he's like in the prisons.
But this is the first time he's been like to the entertainment district.
Yeah. And he knows not to carry when he's drinking.
Yes, because don't do that. That's illegal.
And being 21. So, but it's just, yeah, he's never really been to West area.
We talked about that quote earlier about tough times create, strong men.
Yeah.
I think that there is, and I think I failed at it for a while, but I think there's a fine line between raising your children the way that you were raised, or at least I was, because I would not dream of raising any child the way that I was raised. However, you do have to raise them to be tough. So, you talk about that, masculinity, you can't do that. You can't say man up to your, well, I say it all the time.
Oh yeah.
Because there's times when you have
Yeah.
to. I mean, there are times when life doesn't give you the option. I mean, you have to be prepared for that.
We were probably borderline child abuse by today's standards, raising my son.
Yeah. And
I'm not saying I beat him. I didn't beat him.
Right.
But I was very hard on him. Like my dad was hard on me and my brother.
Yes.
Because I had high expectations for him, because we know what this world is going to do to you as an adult.
Yep.
Even as a young kid and as a young adult, and you want to prepare him the best you can. And you have to sometimes you got to teach a life lesson.
Yeah.
It's like, like the day he's like, I could take you. I'm like, really? How old are you now? You're 16. I'm like, come get your ass whooped.
Yeah.
I'm up because I won't take it easy on you. I did. I mean, I took it easy on him,
but you still won.
But I still whipped his ass.
Yeah.
I never hit him or anything like that. I tossed him around like a rag doll.
Oh yeah.
Jeremy's met my son. He's skinny.
Yeah. At 16, he probably weighed $110.
But hey, he bucked up.
God,
and you know what? When your kid bucks up, what do you do?
My oldest is about to turn 15, and he is a fucking animal. He is so tough, and I've raised him that way on purpose. But I'm kind of like shit. He's like, Dad, I could take you. And in the back of my head, I'm like, I cheat, man. I will win this fight.
Oh, yeah.
Again,
give the old dick twist.
Yeah. You don't know the lengths Dad is willing to go to win that fight.
Yeah.
But he's, I'll brag on him for a minute. He's a freshman and he went undefeated this year in wrestling. He beat two juniors. He came back after the first junior he wrestled and goes, Dad, that guy had a beard. He's like,
you have a beard. You have a beard, Dad.
I'm like, yeah, but you pinned him, bro. Like, look at what you just did. But he's an animal, man. And it's crazy because I've realized the difference in the way he's my firstborn, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've got two boys. And then my daughter is the baby, so she obviously gets babied, but she runs the house. She's mean, man.
It's a different kind of mean.
I get all over the place. Yeah. So she said her and my middle son were in an argument the other day, and my middle son's like the emotional one, right? He carries everything right there on his sleeve. And he said something. She said something. And he goes, he said, that was really offensive. And she goes, you know what's offensive? Your forehead to your hairline. And I was like, oh shit. You know, and we were driving. We were in the car and I look over at my wife and she's got that shit face. And I'm like, Waverly, you can't say things like that. My wife's like, I'm going to write that down for later. Like, that is great. And we've asked her, like, where do you come up with this shit? She's like, I don't know. It just comes out. Like, oh, you're so mean.
She's telling her older brother, toughen up, man.
Yes. She's like, man up, bro.
Like you watch these videos on the internet, of course, and it's these college students who can't handle the reality of things and the truth of people from the real world saying things.
Yeah.
When you get out of these protected spaces, nobody in the real world gives two shits about your feelings. I'm sorry. We have to get things done. The credit card company doesn't care about your sob story. Your mortgages do the first.
Yeah, your hard times.
They don't care.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of learning through childhood and early development, some kind of resilience.
Yeah.
Because you do have to be able to struggle and fail and then come back again and try again and succeed,
Yeah.
Like,
failure is awesome, man. It's a great teacher.
And I've always told my kids that failing is learning. Failing is not something to be down about. You have to take that experience and mold yourself to it.
Yeah.
Don't do it again. And that's what failing's about. Losing a wrestling match, losing a football game.
Yeah.
Those are all moments to learn.
You know how many times I asked my son growing up, what'd you learn?
Yes.
Well, you
still
never
do it. I still ask myself. I still ask my wife, what'd you learn?
Yeah.
Because we fail at things we do.
You win or you learn.
Yeah.
Losing is just a part of reality. Everybody loses.
Yeah.
Well, you never truly fail until you stop trying.
Yes.
And then that's whenever you failed and become a failure.
1,000%.
Yeah.
And I think that's another important part, in raising kids is kids are kind of raised to quit now. Oh, you got hit too hard and you don't you can stop.
Yeah.
Nope. Buck up, buttercup. Get back on the field. Life will hit you 10 times harder than you just got hit.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to have to stand up to it every time.
I made my son finish baseball season.
Yeah.
Because he was crying about how the coaches were treating him. Because this is the first time I hadn't coached him. It's like, my dad was always my baseball coach.
Yeah.
Like, you know what he did to me? If I wasn't paying attention, I took a line drive to the face. And I had the stitches around my eye from the ball. And my dad's like, what'd you learn? I was like, keep my eye on the ball. And you know what I did? I kept my eye on the damn ball from then on out.
Yeah, it's a lesson. Learned a little bit hard, but
but hey,
no permanent damage.
Yeah.
You know how many times he warned me though? Here's the thing. It's not like it was the first time. This had been going on for years. He was my coach and always had the same rules. And he told me over and over and over. Now, did he mean to hit me in the face with a line drive? No. Did he get a hold of it? Yes. It happens. It's baseball. But now what'd you learn?
Yeah.
All right. So I had a black eye for 3 weeks. It's part of growing up. And I don't fault my dad at all. I have no ill will there at all for it. It taught me the fucking lesson I need to learn.
Sure.
And now I pay attention to everything around me.
So I was raised pretty violently. And I think I reflect on it often. I look at it differently now. I don't really take it as the insecurities that I used to. But with how violently I was raised, I still learned lessons like it. And it's hard to explain that to people, like, how could you love your dad after all that? Well, because I did learn very valuable life lessons through it. Wasn't the right way, but it was his way, and it's what it was. And I know not to do that. But I think that in knowing that, having my own struggles, those can go into how you raise your kids, right? So my dad was super violent, so I don't ever want to be physically violent. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't get there in my head, right? You have those thoughts, and it's okay. And you fail often as a parent, but again, you don't quit failing because that's how you learn as a parent. Nobody taught me how to do this shit. Nobody, handed me a book and said, "Here's Dad 101." You learn this shit as your kids grow. And I think for a while I kind of inflicted my own trauma on them in raising them, and it was that moment of understanding how violent I can be and knowing or having the ability to not be, and to restructure that almost like angsty feeling of needing to be violent into some type of verbal lesson that they can learn to grow. And I think that's where you were saying like it could be borderline child abuse. It's not. It's not. Yeah. It's but not.
Sometimes they just see that monster inside you.
Yeah.
And then they are, oh, Dad's not fucking around.
Yeah.
And I need to take what he's saying seriously. So you don't have to get to the point where you have to discipline the way you don't want to.
Right.
Or they're not being grounded every other week or lectures every day.
Yep.
And they actually listening and having that lesson just in regular conversation, then teach them to make better decisions because they know the monster that you're keeping behind the door.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I lost control of that monster for a little bit.
I did too.
Right before my accident. And my wife told me this later, and it absolutely devastated me, broke my heart, because all I've wanted to be, even through my weakness in my mental health journey, is a good dad, right? I've said it forever. I don't want to be my dad, so I want them to love me and look at me as a leader and a father, and to have that relationship. And because of my mental health struggles, I had really neglected that for a long time. And my wife had told me during my recovery from this accident that there were days that they would wonder if I was going to work, like when's Dad leave, because they knew that they couldn't even talk to me. It was terrible, but that's where I was mentally, is you get to a point where that you're a hair trigger away from pulling a switch that you do not want to pull. Mm-hmm. So you're just mean, or I was just mean, over dumb shit. Mm-hmm. Everything's a trigger.
Yep, been there.
It just over the stupidest, and they have no fault in that situation.
No, they don't know. They're just being kids.
Yeah, they're kids. It's the shit they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to be able to mold them and teach them through that. And I absolutely failed at that for a while. Hard to swallow, thinking that my kids didn't even want me in the house, because you can get to that point. And what's crazy is, even in those moments, like as an officer, you go to work and the switch flips and you're a good guy. 101. You can, we talked about, you can verbally de-escalate any situation. Somehow or another, you're cool and calm under, the worst pressure in the world. You're great.
That's because the job is the last thing to suffer.
Yeah.
Whenever we are struggling like that, because we know if I go in and I'm an asshole, or like if I do these certain things, then I'm going to get in trouble at work and they're going to take that away from me.
Yes.
And this is the one thing that I have left that I have some control.
But isn't it crazy that, and if I know you've been there, that's where you get to. Mm-hmm. Your priorities are fucked. Yep. They're completely upside down.
Yep.
But it is, I had said it, I convinced myself I was a good person by doing the deeds that I did at work. And so when John said, I'm not a good man, but I have a good heart. Damn, I get that. And I think I'm a good man now. I think I've been a good man through most of my life, because we all struggle and we all go through moments of weakness, and we all have those hair trigger moments where everything is going to be, what did I hear the other day? There's a new impulse control disorder. Did you guys know that's a thing now?
Jesus.
That's a thing now. And I was like, well, shit, I've had that my whole life.
Yeah.
I still struggle with that. We talked about food earlier. There's times I want ice cream. I have no control. I just need to get that ice cream.
Yeah.
I
will run you over and your kids.
Rocky Road?
Oh, let me Rocky Road.
I had to Goonies it. I'm sorry.
I think some of this stuff, it's kind of going, I think they go a little far with some of the, some of it is just making excuses for bad behavior, like that whole
time blindness.
How about
Time blindness.
How about minor attracted persons?
No.
Yeah, don't even get me
We're
started
not
on
going
that
California. I will get on a horse that you do not want me riding.
one. Is it going to be a pale horse?
Like, I mean,
That's not a thing, by the way.
It's
No.
2024.
Nope.
Not,
Still not a
absolutely
thing.
not a thing.
I will never. There's things that you have to accept because it just is what is in society. Not that. That's no.
It's one of those things that I don't care how you spin it. The end result is going to be the same pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
So
It's not a thing.
Don't try.
It's not a thing. It absolutely disgusts me that could even be considered.
I'm on the Texas plan on this one.
You know,
Go Texas.
go Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard, I think California's working on, or they did just lower the age of consent, and they're accepting that minor attracted person. And
it boggles my mind because I've been to California twice in the past couple of years. And it's the first time that I've ever been. I went once with Swell and went surfing. And then
that's
I
awesome.
went.
Swell is an amazing organization.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
Yeah.
Rob's a super cool dude. Everybody with that organization is cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went back in September of last year, took the Jeep out and did the Rubicon Trail.
Oh, cool.
The amount of natural beauty in that state, like it's astounding. Like that area around Lake Tahoe and the Rubicon Trail, and then where we were at doing, the surfing, the beaches and just the forest and everything. I mean, it's so gorgeous there.
Yeah.
But there is no possible way that you could convince me ever to live there.
And how do you get to that level of disconnect as a society? Where
It's just. And have you ever seen the voting map for California? Like the red and the blue.
Well, yeah,
It's all red except for a couple major cities.
Yeah.
And that's what carries the state. And they're prepping their governor to run for president, not this year, but the next election.
Yeah.
That's scary because he's a fucking moron. And he has no idea what's going on.
As are most of them.
Yeah, all the politicians are morons.
I won't argue that. I'm just saying he's the biggest.
That's fair. I'll accept that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the oppositional defiance disorder?
Means you're
Being
just
a
an
dick.
asshole.
Yeah. No. You said it wrong. The kid's a dick.
Yeah.
It's okay to say that. I think it is.
Yeah.
I'll probably get canceled for that, but
Not in 2024.
yeah,
It's not okay.
I think that we've lost touch with, we ask and we beg sometimes for mental health resources or to improve it. And the way that they look at it is, well, we'll just classify everything. And then
What makes it easier if you classify it?
Yeah, well then it's understood because no. They don't have a problem. They just have ODD or
That's because
whatever.
if you have this disorder, then you don't have to face consequences of your actions.
Exactly, which it drives me crazy. So I can't go into case detail, obviously, but we had, we'll call them a suspect that the hospital decided to classify as catatonic because they decided not to answer questions regarding the incident that occurred. However, if you said, "What's your name?" they knew their name. They'd respond. It's not catatonic. That's not wanting to answer questions that are going to make you guilty.
Yeah, it's called pleading the fifth.
But then,
right to remain silent.
But then when that hits court, it's, well, they were catatonic, so they obviously were in no mental state to complete whatever you're accusing them of. Because the hospital has now given them the out. And I'm not saying hospitals are wrong for the things that they do, but they need to be a lot more careful with, these classifications when it comes to mental health, because now, this person is probably looking at a 2 to 3 year stint of just mental health and maybe drug and alcohol abuse treatment. And then they're free to commit the same type of act or worse moving forward.
Well, it gives the prosecutors in the cities a win.
It gives them an out.
Another column, which makes them look better for when they go for a federal position, which is what a lot of
It's the goal. It's politics.
That's what they want because it's more money and it's more power.
Yeah.
I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
Oh, 1,000%. So, well, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or not, but I will. So my partner and I got shot at work, right? And John was talking about this the other day when it comes to like aftercare or response to trauma that happens to us on the job. My partner and I got shot at, call for service on a sound of shots, get there. One vehicle decides to back out of the parking space of the area we're in, starts driving past us, and I see him tucked behind his A-frame. So I tuck behind mine. Oh, shit. So, I tuck down, I kind of draw out, and I've got it toward the door just in case. Tell my partner, this is going to be our shooter. It's a feeling. And I'm sure you guys know it in fire, right? When the floor is weak or whatever, your stomach starts turning and it tells you this is fucked. It's fucked. And that's what saves your life a lot of the times, is always being prepared for that moment. But anyway, car passes us immediately. We're looking at him. He immediately puts his hand out the window, starts firing at us. We get in a pursuit with him. And this is it pisses me off because these are the things that don't make the news. We get in a long pursuit with him. We get him stopped. He runs into a dead end, can't go anywhere. We get him out of the car, get him in custody, never returned fire. A perfect call for us, right? That's a win.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to, neither of us are injured. We get to the guy, we get him. Now, from a guilt-seeking perspective, because he's guilty of a crime now, right? Aggravated assault against 2 law enforcement officers. We've got the casings, we've got the gun, we've got the guy, we've got the car, we have everything we need to prove guilt. We've got the video, we've got our dash cams, we've got everything that we need to prove 100% this guy's guilty. So I had my motorcycle accident, which is really irrelevant to the story, but I was recovering and I had just gotten out of the hospital and I get a call from the prosecutor. And they gave this guy 90 days in a drug and alcohol treatment facility. And as long as he completed that, he would then just be put on probation for 5 years, where if he decided to do something during that 5 years, then he might have to do jail time, which we all know is bullshit. He's not going to do jail time. But what really pissed me off in that is the call I got was from the prosecutor, and it was, well, we've offered this plea deal and they've accepted. How do you feel about that? So there was no input in sentencing.
No.
And I'm not saying that I don't agree. Like we talked about earlier, I'm not saying that there's not, rehabilitation services that are available. And I'm not saying that people don't need help, because obviously that person needed help. What he wanted that night was suicide by cop. Those calls happen pretty often. This guy actually took pretty good action to make it happen. Luckily, we were able to stay controlled. He didn't decide to shoot once he got out of the car, and everything turned out for the best. It was great as far as that kind of call is concerned. So I'll talk about 2 things with that. Is one, his sentencing's bullshit. Did he need drug and alcohol treatment? Sure, maybe. As a part of his prison sentence,
yeah,
that still deserves punishment. We are now not holding him accountable at all. We're just giving him resources to not be addicted, which we all know those facilities, they try, but they're so overburdened.
Mm-hmm.
Their success rate is, you might as well not even call it a success rate.
Well, no. And the amount of drugs and alcohol that get into those, facilities, it's astounding.
When chances are good, because everybody looks at the statistics, that when he gets released, he's going to go back to using the drugs and the alcohol.
And he will most likely reoffend.
Yeah, most likely. Because how many times do people relapse after they go to a rehab center?
Oh, yeah.
What did we say last time we talked about it? I think it was like 5.
I don't know what the true percentage is, but it takes 5 stints.
5 stints before it takes, I think.
Yeah.
Isn't that what we were talking about?
Probably. Yeah. It's especially for drugs and alcohol, it's, I'm not going to say it's rare. You have to have the right reasons to go. But if it's mandated most of the time, it doesn't stick.
Well, because you're just there to do your time.
Yeah.
And is all you are.
Yeah. And then by giving someone who shot at the cops that kind of sentence, what does that tell everybody else?
So what really gets me with this particular case is when we identified the individual, he was flagged as previously attempting suicide by cop, which means our attempt was not his first. So he was already a repeat offender. My main issue is we're now giving this person 90 days where they may complete their stint and do a good job. Now they're going to put another officer in that position.
Or maybe, or potentially hurt another officer or
the public or themselves. I think that's something that's not brought up enough. They may end up hurting themselves eventually. So sure, the drug and alcohol counseling is needed and warranted. And I fully believe that it could assist in their, getting better. They also need mental health treatment, and they need to face a true punishment for the crime that they committed. Because when you let that walk with little to no action, why would you not reoffend?
Fully agree.
Yeah. That's
because you're just going to get another 90 days. What's 90 days?
They used to lock people up and throw away the key for that type of shit.
Yeah.
But even the fact that they classified it as attempted assault.
Right.
And not attempted murder. Because that's what it used to be. Like, and that's another thing.
When you fire a fucking gun at somebody, you're trying to kill them.
Have you guys noticed on social media, right? People don't say murder anymore. It's unalived.
Yes, because they get canceled.
Yeah. Suicide, it's the same thing. They don't say rape. It's grape or whatever. Like, they don't say those words.
And they don't classify them. It's a sexual assault because rape is too violent.
So I guarantee you, when this goes on YouTube, let me switch over.
We're going to get cut.
This episode will get flagged because of the words that we've used, because they're trigger words for people. And we're worried about triggering people because we care about fucking feelings instead of facts. And we have to talk about hard shit. You got to talk about rape. It happens. It's part of our society, unfortunately. It's fucking horrific, but we need to talk about it.
But again,
it's suicide, horrific. Got to talk about it.
If you start changing the language to soften everything, it takes away the severity of whatever you're talking about.
Which also reduces the consequences for the action.
Yeah.
And it becomes acceptable by the public at mass.
Yeah.
Because everything is not as extreme as it is in real life.
Yeah.
And it goes back to that needing to be prepared for that level of violence. I talked about earlier, my wife going downtown drives me fucking crazy. But the way that she looks at it is she doesn't know these things. She doesn't see these things.
No, she's
these aren't a
oblivious
part
like
of her
most
daily
people.
life.
No offense to your wife.
No. That's exactly where I'm going with this is she's oblivious to it. It's not what she sees because it's not what she's looking for. She's just down there to, maybe hop a couple bars with friends and have a good time. And that's it. And these are all places that seem great. And they're, noted in our city as the entertainment places you want to go.
And we all want that. We all want to be able to go out.
I would love for her to have
a restaurant, have a few drinks. If you choose a drink, if you don't, great. But that's what you want. You want to have fun in your city.
Yeah.
And be safe about it. But being in the professions that we are, we know what the underbelly looks like.
Yes.
And we've dealt with it. And we don't want to put our loved ones in that position. I've worked at certain firehouses. I was like, hey, I want to come down. I'm like, fuck off. You're not coming down here. Like, no.
Oh, like to see you?
Yeah. I'm like, no, there's no reason for you to come down here and see me. We have technology. I will FaceTime your ass.
Yeah. I can see you in other ways.
But you don't need to come in this area and subject yourself to the potential of what it could be, because we know the potential is higher down here for violence than it is in other areas. I mean, it's still high. The potential is still there in the areas we live, but it's higher in certain areas.
Yeah. And we know that. But I wish that it was as easy as being oblivious to it and being able to live like that. I'm too, too cautious. I think of everything that could happen. And I would love to think that it is possible to live in a world where you can just be oblivious to it and you can enjoy the things that you should enjoy. But
I mean, you can, as long as you don't ever take a career in being a first responder.
Or know someone that is.
Yeah, or know someone that is. Otherwise, you're getting red pilled and you're going to see reality.
Yeah, I think that I don't know. I think I've lowered my drive to prevent. It's going to sound terrible, I guess, but to like prevent her from doing the things that she enjoys doing, because they shouldn't lose the fun, right? They shouldn't lose that kind of sense of having a good time.
It's kind of like with kids. You don't want to ruin the child. You don't take that innocence from the kid.
They still need to have the childhood.
See it and you love it, and you love the innocence, and you want them to have everything.
Yes.
but you know the reality of what's going on.
1,000%, you know, and my daughter, so our schools made it to where if you live within a mile of school, you have to walk, which what I don't understand about that is the buses pass your house for sure, because they're going to the school. So my daughter will be 12 and 11 really, and walking to school. And I would love to just be like, that's fine. Do you know what it feels like to be a father? And I know a lot of people do and can identify with it. I'm a police officer that has to accept the fact that my 11-year-old daughter is going to be walking to school alone.
And I mean, if you say you live at that mile mark, there's a lot of potential in that mile of bad shit.
Unlimited potential. It can happen in front of your house, much less on a busy public street.
Mm-hmm. Out of sight.
And how long does it take to walk a mile?
Well, and so here's the other thing that drives me crazy, right? So we live in the age of technology. You talk about FaceTime, whatever.
Yeah.
So they're going to be oblivious, right? Yeah. They don't understand. And it's a hard line, I think, as a parent to teach your kids and educate your kids about the bad shit that can happen without ruining their fucking childhood. Because I want to tell her, you know, hey, on your way to school, the big white van with candy can pull over next to you and you could get assaulted and die. That's the reality.
Yeah.
How do you break that down to an 11-year-old without ruining their childhood, but also making sure that they know to stay safe? You know, now I have the benefit of my son also walks to school. He's only a year older. You know, kids can be overpowered.
But it's still a power in numbers.
You know, there is. And that's where, you know, it's like, okay,
there's two of them.
Make a group. You know, you're not allowed to walk to school unless you have a group of people. But then I've also considered, like, I will get up early and drive you to school every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but then the element of
what about going home?
She wants to walk to school.
Yeah.
Because it's fun. And it should be fun. Much like, you know, your wife or others going downtown. It should be fun. And it can be fun. But the potential's there. And in my line of work, I always think about the potential.
That's why you need a ghillie suit. So you can low crawl and crawl behind her.
Where's the highest point I can get to with a scope that can zero in on a mile?
There you go.
Someone to read me wind direction.
So I mean, but even fuck, I had something. I'm thinking of sighting in my scopes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, honey, it's about back to school time. I'm gonna head to the range with my buddies and sighted my rifles.
Make sure my grain's right.
Oh my god.
Oh.
It's just you know, I think it's a hard line. Like I said, I've tried to relax. You know, my wife's got friends that live in areas downtown that I just make my skin crawl. Yeah. You know, but it's weird having to be okay with that, right? Like knowing she's going to go to those places. Like you just have to, the world can't stop because of the evil that we see.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't stop.
But you still want your kids to grow.
Yeah. And they
experience
have to.
Things and branch out on their own, because they're at that age where they're starting to push away from mom and dad and become their own person, but you still need to protect them. And even you never stop protecting them though. Like I'm in my 40s. My parents still worry about me every day. And I'm like, fucking stop. You know, I'm fine. I'm an adult. I've been doing this for a day or two.
Yeah.
But they've been doing it for 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
And my son being 21, I understand where they're coming from. I just don't check on him like they check on me. It's not that I don't care. That's just how I am.
Sure.
You know, and I think I put a lot more trust in him than I should, but I also know how I raised him.
Yeah. And I think that's a big part of it, right? Is we kind of talked about it. You have to find a balance in raising them where they understand the potential for violence and they're capable of dealing with that violence when it happens, while still allowing them the freedom of being a child and living in the moment and growing. And unfortunately, in the society we live in, it's getting harder and harder to do that.
I tell you, my son only got in one fight in high school. I'm proud of him for it, because it took a lot of restraint through going through those years of not getting into a fight until the kid punched him in the face and he beat the shit out of him. I'm like, he's like, well, I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm like, no, you're not. I got this.
Yeah, I will defend that.
Now it's my time now. I got this. Fuck that principal. I got it.
Oh yeah.
And if he, and I'm willing to be a dick because what you did was right. You got punched in the face. You defended yourself.
Yep.
I understand the zero tolerance policy, but fuck that. You're not
zero
a punching
tolerance
bag.
is great, but that doesn't mean that you should be susceptible to being injured because you're not going to fight back.
No.
My daughter is in her last year of elementary school. She's my pistol. She can handle herself. Like I worry about her, obviously. She's my daughter, but she's crazy. she has gotten in so much trouble that everybody just expects her to cause trouble. My wife, when she went to parent-teacher conferences, the teacher said, hold on, the principal's going to join us. For my daughter, who's 10. And so the principal joins, and they basically told my wife, if Waverly's having a bad day, the whole class has a bad day. Her temperament dictates the classroom. And I hear this and I'm like, well, that's leadership skills. I'm failing to see the issue here. Mold her, right? That's your job. You're a teacher. Mold that into something you can use.
Teach them.
So she knows she's going to get in trouble for anything she does because she's caused a lot of trouble. And so I don't know the last time she actually got to go to a recess. She's always on the brick wall. And then they put her against the wall and she won't lean against the wall because it's gross.
Okay.
So then she argues that. Anyway. So she's in class the other day and the classroom she's in has a bathroom off of it. And you're supposed to just get up and go to the bathroom. You have to go to the bathroom. She knows better because she knows she'll probably get in trouble. So she raises her hand and asks, can I go to the bathroom? Teacher says yes. She gets up, goes to walk over to the bathroom, and a little boy who's a jerk most of the time runs up and like shoulder tackles her out of the way to go in the bathroom. So she responds and she shoves this kid into the wall, trips him into the bathroom, and then locks him in.
That's an appropriate response.
That's what I'm saying.
Hey,
and so,
ooh, kid, what'd you learn?
Here's where it gets rough for me. Is she's in trouble now because she got violent, and they say we're going to call your father, and she goes, so he's just going to tell you how proud of me he is, and I'm like, yep, you're right. There's no trouble there.
No.
What'd she do wrong?
So she gets in trouble for standing up to the bully.
Yes.
Because what he did, everything he did was wrong. Now, should she have
But
hit him?
she was more violent.
Okay.
So
she met his violence with violence and taught him a lesson not
violence
to be violent.
begets violence.
Yeah.
Yes.
You put your hands on me. Okay. I'm going to respond, and I'm going to go bigger to teach you not to put your fucking hands on me.
That's what she did. I was proud of her. I was actually very happy to hear the story.
Yeah.
Jeremy, what is it we tell Jeremy all the time? Don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Honestly, if the kid wasn't a dick, he wouldn't have got shoulder checked, and this would be a non-issue.
Yes.
She asked to go to the bathroom. She had permission. He didn't.
Right. Well, in fairness, you're not supposed to have to ask. You're supposed to just be able to go. It was the fact that he watched her ask because she knows better.
Yeah.
And then attempted to shoulder tackle her out of the way, and she responded.
Yeah, no trouble.
The way that I would hope that she responds.
We're gonna stop for ice cream on the way home.
Yes.
We'll get some goddamn Rocky Road.
Yes. And so they ended up talking to my wife for she had like a 20-minute conversation with the school. And we're trying to defend her. Like she hates the place. She's always in trouble. She can't do anything right. Even when she tries. She's also super smart, so she gets all of her stuff done and then has time. Yeah. Which is like the enemy of a good.
Yep.
That's the thing of our modern education system, though, is some people just don't fit that mold.
Yes.
Some people need to learn actively and be stimulated.
And that's just it. I think she needs to keep going, because if you give her that freedom, she's going to act out.
Yeah.
Because she needs something to do.
Yeah. That's a whole big rabbit hole we could go down. So
been there, dealt with it.
Yeah.
It gets worse in high school.
They're
all in their freaking fields all the time. It's like, no, man, no.
I want to be scared to death that my kids are entering that high school age, but I also know like no one will fight my son. No one. He's not mean. He's like the melancholy. He's just chill. Even before
but
wrestling,
he's got it in him.
He bothers me before wrestling matches because he's literally what I was as a kid. There's almost no feeling shown. He's just kind of like a blank slate. He's chill. His warm-ups are just like a little, arm stretch. And I'm like, can you get hype, kid? Like, just Do some jumping, like look intimidating, because he doesn't. He looks unassuming.
He lulls them to sleep. That's why he's undefeated.
Then he gets out there and he's an animal. I mean, he destroys people. And like these juniors, he threw them around like rag dolls. And you're like, yes, you know. So like I want to be afraid of them going to school, but I also know that they're tough kids because I've borderline been a child abuser, you know, raising them to understand that you need to be a good person. You need to stand up for people and absolutely stand up for yourself.
Well, you keep the wolf at the door until it's time to let him out.
Yes, 1,000%.
That's what you got to do.
Yeah. I just don't think that it's widely accepted by society to raise your children like that in today's, you know, modern way of thinking.
I mean, I'm all for respecting everybody and treating people with respect until you give me a reason not to. And I won't be violent until you force me to be.
Yes.
When you force me to be violent, I will rain down God hellfire on you.
Absolutely.
It's just the way it is. You forced me to this.
Okay, Les Grossman.
Who is it? Have you seen?
Go Les Grossman on people.
Did you see the Tim Kennedy thing where they had put like a prize on his head? I think it was the Taliban had put a prize on his head and said like, we are hunting him. And they had offered some obscure amount of money to like assassinate him. So on a podcast, he just comes out. He's like, my address is,
yeah, but
please.
That dude is
come to my house. You are welcome anytime. You will die. Like he just, you know, like I don't think they understand what I'm capable of doing. You know, he's crazy. He's an animal.
But that's the way you got to be. Be nice.
But again, he's the nicest dude.
Yeah.
But you force his hand, just like if you forced one of our hands, that's
capable of violence when violence is necessary.
Yep.
And I've always told people as an officer, you know, in my field, and I can't imagine it from like a medic or a fire, you know, perspective when you guys are on those EDP calls where there's, you know, you're dealing with crazy and they're spitting or they're, you know, they do all these things that they can get you amped up. You know, it's hard to put your personal feelings aside and be professional in those moments. We are all good at it because we're trained well and we have to be. But, you know, you get in those moments and I always tell people I match energy with energy. I can go to your level. I don't care how violent you can get. I can outdo that. You know, I'm capable of that. But I would like to de-escalate things. Would like to make it a verbal conversation where you gently lay on the stretcher and get in the ambulance and you're a nice person.
We have medicine for that.
But oh man, I love that medicine. The go to sleep meds.
Oh yeah.
A little shot in the thigh. Like, yes. We should be able to carry that as officers.
No.
We need EMS.
You know what?
Yeah.
It'd be every call.
I've watched.
That's how you de-escalate people.
Exactly.
I have watched officers put tourniquets on and fuck that up
How do you
horribly.
fuck up a tourniquet.
I don't know. You become a cop.
So if you're shot, you dick. Back to John again. I think he said any cop that does not regret the decision is lying. Like, yes. Oh man,
I got some stories for you.
The double fist in the air, you dick. We're just rubbing them in. It's just...
Oh man,
you want to end the show now, don't you?
Yes.
He's like, we're about to get on a horse that we can't be on. So we need to stop.
Oh, yeah. Hey, by the way, with all due respect, man, I'm sorry.
It's in the Geneva Convention.
He's not sorry, dude. He's not sorry at all. No. He's so proud of himself for that comment. And it was well timed.
Why do you think the camera's not on me?
He's got that gracilis muscle. He's getting real excited back there.
It's a double.
He's going to take a victory lap later, I'm sure. Oh, man. All right. Well, Joe, dude, thanks for coming back on the show. This was awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. I would be absolutely thrilled to be back anytime you guys will have me. I love what you guys do here. And I love just what it is. We're just having a conversation. And I think that kind of closing thoughts, when it comes to mental health, especially with first responders, this right here is the environment that we need. And we need to be able to embrace the fact that it's okay to just chat about it. I think it's scary when you're addressing it like therapist to patient.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're capable of sitting with people who understand what you're going through and are probably going through the exact same shit just in their own nature, this is great. All the walls are down and we're just talking. And to be able to be open, like I said last time on the show, you guys do an amazing job of it's just a conversation. And I love how it flows and we get into some crazy talk, but it's, ultimately it's an absolutely incredible platform that you guys have going. And I really appreciate being invited back.
All right. Thanks, man. We appreciate it.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Chris.
Don't be a cop. No, but to kind of piggyback on what you're saying, man, we appreciate you being here and everything you've done and gone through and sharing your story. I know it's not easy, even though we try and make it as chill as possible and we have fun and we joke around. We do cover some serious things.
Yeah.
But really, I guess for me, what I've taken away today is, what'd you learn? That goes back to that for me. What did you learn?
It's a great question. And I've never thought about phrasing things like that, but you could ask that question at the end of anything you do in life.
Mm-hmm. What's the lesson you picked up on?
What'd you take away?
Yeah. Always look back on what you've done and what'd you learn and how do you become better because of it? Even in bad situations.
Yeah.
Things where you fuck up, you can learn something and be so much better on the back end of it.
Yeah.
So just keep striving to get better. And for you, thanks for coming, man. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Keep working on it. Good luck with your surgeries. And I hope you get the arm boner thing going. That'd be cool.
The arm boner. The hand boner. How do we do it? Honer?
We'll figure it out.
We'll come up with a name off camera because it's going to get ugly.
Oh my God. Oh, Jesus.
Sorry, I couldn't help it.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. Thanks for showing up on time today too. Appreciate that.
Hey, whatever I can do to help.
45 minutes late. It's fine.
I was taking a nap.
Everything's good.
Yeah.
I was legit napping. I saw Jeremy call. I was like, fuck that guy. I'll call him back later. And then the dog put his nose in my ear. I was like, oh, they have to go out. Okay.
The dog got him.
Well, Joe, thanks for coming on the show, man. Really appreciate it.
Yep.
So, yeah, welcome back anytime.
Thank you very much for the platform.
Appreciate it. If you guys are struggling, reach out. There are resources out there. If you know somebody that's struggling, reach out. Let them know what the resources are. Drop us a line. We're more than willing to help out. That's the whole purpose of the podcast. So take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time.